Hello and welcome to Impact Africa, our online talk show where we get to have conversations with diverse people and organizations who are impacting lives positively. Yes, this is me, Kemi Akiode Adebayo, aka Mama K. And in today's program, I've got a devoted, passionate community worker who is the shelter manager for the Haven in Bellville. His name is George Narkedien. I need to make sure I get it right. And they're based in Bellville, Cape Town. My brother, don't mind me with that. The name sounds like Aberdeen, and I was like, use it, Aberdeen, Narkadien. So where's the name from, actually? Because it's an unusual name.
Yes, it is actually Indonesian.
Okay, it's Indonesian. Okay.
So it's from the east.
Right. So you have generation who moved there. Tell me a little bit about that. I want to know what generation you have your family.
My family is basically we were based in Port Elizabeth.
Okay.
You know, they came over from the islands on that side and based themselves in Port Elizabeth.
Right. So that's your grandfather or on your great. So it's like great. Yeah. Okay. So Port Elizabeth. Where were you born? Were you born in P then?
Born in Port Elizabeth.
Oh, you were born in Port Elizabeth.
That's right.
Okay.
Studied in Utenay.
Right.
And then also back in PE and then in Cape Town eventually.
Right. So what is your position in your family? Are you the first child, last child?
I am the eldest from three of us.
Okay.
Of which one has passed on,
right,
two has passed on.
Oh no.
Two elders has passed on. So currently I am the eldest.
You're the eldest, okay.
Very big family, especially from my mom's side as well.
Right.
My mom was a nurse, and you know, being in that sort of environment, I think, and my dad was also a community worker and served the community, and I think that is technically where our passion started.
I can imagine, family, yeah.
Like my brother, my sister used to or has had her own organization, of which my son has now taken over, actually assisting the underprivileged kids up in Johannesburg.
Okay.
My cousin is also, or shall I say my nephew, is also in the industry where he's into haircuts and stuff like that, raising funds and normally affiliated to a lot of orphanages. So he's basically also doing his bit. So as a family, I think we all have a passion.
That's interesting. So how was life growing up for you with a mom as a nurse, a dad, you know, active in the community, brothers, and everybody is about serving, I believe, and giving. How was life growing up for you?
For us, it was good. We were always exposed to underprivileged, and I think that is where the passion started. However, I also believe that, you know, what we preach today is being grateful for where we are at. And I think that's basically that being gracious, being able to listen. How do we impact the community? And I think from that, as growing up as a kid, we were always involved in giving back.
Wow.
Sharing. Caring.
Which are some of the values, you know, I think we're missing now, you know, to a greater extent. Because if we still have, you know, that giving back, sharing, loving, serving, to me, I don't think we'll have as much crime, especially with the crime.
Definitely.
You know, that we have.
Really look at it. Yes, at that time there were also gangsters, there was also crime.
Yes.
However,
it
was managed within our communities due to the love and the passion that we have within a family, because we used to believe that your kid, or we still believe that your kid is my kid. So
exactly.
You know, in our neighborhood, you could pop into this auntie, pop into that auntie.
Yes.
And it was like family homes wherever you came. And I think based on that, it was always, when I look at the Haven today, it is a home away from home. And I think, you know, when I really look at growing up, it just technically the same thing.
So let's go now before we come to the haven and why and so on, you know, how you got involved. How did you end up in Cape Town from PE?
From PE, I studied. I was into the electrical engineering field.
Oh,
I did
really?
my internship here in Cape Town docks. Most of my career was electrically up until 2005.
Okay.
When I actually was introduced to the haven, I came to Cape Town for a back operation.
All right.
Technically lost everything.
Wow.
And having to wander the streets because I had family here. Even when I was transferred from Livingston Hospital, because I had a long history of being in Cape Town, and I had 3 back operations in Cape Town. Landed up in hospital at the Livingston Hospital in PE, where I was currently staying. The hospital felt that it would be better for me to get my operation at the last hospital, which was Grotesque. At that time of my life, I had memory loss, and you know, my mom being in that profession at that particular hospital. One of the guys actually, one of the nurses recognized me when I was doing my ECGs to go and have the op. And that was when they said to me, it's best that I have the op in Cape Town.
Okay.
So I then, you know, at that time there was no trains to Cape Town. So I had to bus or I had to fly. And it wasn't advisable because I had to be seated and I couldn't sit, and I had to be horizontal most of the time. So I then had to take a train to Johannesburg and then train back to Cape Town. When I got onto Cape Town station, I got robbed. So
what a welcome.
That was all my documents, lost everything. However, I still got myself to hospital. And I used to wander the streets just to get the next appointment, you know, because by then I didn't have a referral letter, I didn't have anything. And getting back one of the streets, and then the social worker spoke to me and suggested a shelter. Me not having any experience of any shelters whatsoever. I then walked from Grotesque Hospital and I ended up at the Haven, E43.
Wow.
And that is how I got introduced to the Haven.
At that time. So you've experienced some of what your clients, you know, experienced. Now, let me fast forward a little bit, although we'll probably go back. I'm used to going forward, back, and so on. What is the Haven about? What is the Haven shelter about?
The Haven, basically, you know, when I really look at their mission and vision, is that nobody should be homeless. That everybody should be part of a home.
Right.
You know, and walking into the Haven that first night, I mean, I could hardly walk. I mean, the clients used to help me get onto the bed, get off the bed. It used to take me at least half an hour just to get from the bed to the breakfast table.
Wow.
You know, so that was it.
Tough.
I didn't know that the Haven actually offers transport to hospital.
Okay.
And I used to walk from Cape Town, from Napier Street in Greenpoint to the hospital in Grotesque.
Whoa.
Back at night, not knowing
all this, you know, what you could get, the services. So that was that is part of the service you offer.
Exactly. Okay. You know, so where you actually can get medical attention. Like, you know, maybe I'm fast forwarding, but
no,
you know, when you really look at it, you know, entering in at the Haven, a lot of us look at it as accommodation. The Haven does not give accommodation. It gives an holistic package to be able to impact and make a holistic change in your life. However, one needs to be committed to it.
Right.
And not really look at it as just a safe place to see. We need to be part of programs And when I look at my personal history at the Haven, you know, I was at a point where the only duty I could do was to wipe tables. You know, and because everybody in the shelter has a duty. It's like us at home. You know, you have your chore. We need to make up our beds, you know. And that is the values that the Haven would instill in you. And slowly make it part of it. So some of us don't have those values. Or some of us do have the values, but we've been disconnected from them for a while.
Correct.
Due to our certain choices that has made us either end up on the street or making wrong choices where you become homeless. You know, and when I really look at that, that impacted my life. Because I wanted to value, I wanted to give back as well because of my nature of giving back. You know, not just sitting there. Yes, I was in pain. However, you know, sometimes you need to find comfort in your discomfort. I think that for me was something, that was a ball changer.
Right. So I was going to ask, you know, share a success story, you know, about the Haven and your work up to that, but you are one of the success stories because you ended up there from the beginning, and like you said, one of your chores was to wipe tables, and you've managed to walk yourself up to becoming the shelter manager. How has that been for you though? Because you know, there must have been challenges along the way. Was it a case of you not giving up, or was it others believing in you to give you that leadership role? How has that been?
For me, it is like, as I said, wiping tables. Then the opportunity came with the driver. They didn't have a driver. And then we got to a stage where, you know, the Haven has got a system that you don't, if you cannot pay your shelter fees, you need to give back an hour of your day as a chore or as a job.
Right.
So, in my view, when I was really in a position of getting to a point where they didn't have a driver and they needed a driver, and somehow I was in a position where I then got to say, right, I'm here.
I'm here. and that is important. No, but that is important because sometimes, you know, in an organization, in situations, if you don't step forward and put one foot forward, that opportunity could be lost.
And then, I mean, like they said to me, but you've got a disability.
Because of your back.
How are you going to trap the clutch? I said, I would do it.
Wow.
Are you if you smash the bucket, are you prepared to pay for it? Type of thing, you know. So when you look at that, you know, it was fun. You know, because we always, like with the social work, I had a very good relationship with the social worker. And I started driving. And I saw the potential that I would possibly be able to assist. At that time, it was a supervisor. Today, we call them hosts. Guys that actually look after the place.
Right.
And one of your supervisors would be on duty 24/7. You know, and I then, after the driving position, they had some positions where you could basically go and relieve supervisor. And I was somehow, you know, we have a guard looking after a garden angel, to put it that way. And I had the opportunity to even work in non-Haven shelters. I was entrusted to go and work for a shelter that was not part of the Haven.
So that gave you more experience and opened your eyes to more stuff.
And then in 2009, and that is what I did for like a year. You know, I would only work weekends or when needed over holidays. And that is how we built, or I built it up. I remember you cannot you cannot work for the Haven and stay in the Haven or stay in the shelter. So I had to find another shelter. And it was nice. I mean, I remember when in Weinberg, the position as a permanent post came up. And I said, I wonder, I should apply, shouldn't I apply? And then I applied and I got the job. And that is technically where my career started. In the Haven as a staff member.
Right, interesting. You know what? We'll be right back to listen to more and hear more some of his stories. George, you know, I'm fascinated first with your background, which I didn't know. You know, the Indonesia background and the fact that you come from a family that believes in giving back. You know, a mother that was a nurse, brothers and other family members who are involved in one way, you know, in serving, you know, or the other. And you actually started your journey as a client with the Haven at the beginning. So to you in your journey so far and as a leader and a manager, what does success mean to you? And what are the key steps, do you think, to being successful?
First things first, I think the God of the understanding. We need to somehow start somewhere.
Okay.
And I think starting there is key, because that gives you a belief system. And you know, when you have a belief system, it's not about success, it's about achieving your next goal. And I think I also believe that, you know, one's successes are relative. But also, in my view, I believe that, you know, when you do anything with passion, that is success. Then you've been successful. Whether the outcome sometimes is positive or negative, especially in our environment, where we're not dealing with a piece of brick that you can take and put there. We're also dealing with human and people that has also got choices. So, in my view, one step at a time is already a success. If I look at in our environment, we have a lot of addicts in our shelter. You know, and we call it just for today. And when I look at our addiction, when we count our hours in addiction, how many 24 hours do we have? So success for me can even be 24 hours later.
Let's now go back to what the Haven Bellville does. You said that you have a lot of people, you know, with addiction and so on. So is it mostly, what kind of addiction? You know, don't let me assume here. Is it?
From our point, addiction. It could be gambling.
Okay.
It could be sex. Heroin.
So it's not just heroin, because I think once people think of addiction, is drugs first.
Exactly.
You know, we all have in our mind. And so it's not necessarily that.
I believe we all have an addiction.
Exactly. At the moment, I'm struggling with social media addiction and WhatsApp addiction. Yeah, you're right. So we do all have addiction.
However, not all is socially accepted.
Right.
So, in my view, the impact that I'd like to take, and in the Haven, we deal with the programs that we run. Is holistic. So, whether you're addicted to alcohol, or whether you're addicted to heroin, or tick, or man whatever it is, we deal with it because we have an holistic approach. So, you know, when you look at when guys come into our shelter, what is the first thing we try and install? It's value. Having a bath, clean, washing the dishes. Simple values that when we were homeless and in addiction, how many of us really want to bath? Because the first place that you want to stop is your next fix. So, from Bellville Point, our approach is just instilling those values of who am I? How do I love myself? How do I connect with my higher power or the God of my understanding? And do that on a non-judgmental platform where you're empowering somebody to make the choices.
Right.
And you do not really tell them, this is what you must do. You may basically planting seeds and nurturing the seeds in different avenues to be able to make that person a stronger person. So when we get back to the success part, he is a success.
Yeah.
Just for the next
24 hours. Wow, deep. So how many people roughly do you have as clients at any point in time?
Okay, on a monthly basis, I normally service in and out and through my shelter approximately between 70 and 80 persons per month.
Right. And is it the same people the next month, or it could change?
Okay. Once again, holistic approach, and once again, programs. So, when a client comes into our shelter, the first thing is cleanliness is next to godliness. So, a bath and a shower, clean clothing, being able to, a hungry man is an angry man.
Yeah, so, to feed.
So giving something to eat.
Yeah.
Once we start that conversation,
right,
already there's a different mindset.
Okay.
Then you go through the process of the next step is medical. How many of us on the streets really have access to real assistance? So a lot of us out there, we might have TB, HIV, we relapse on a lot of other stuff because our core is now survival.
Yep.
Getting a quick plate of food or getting a slice of bread, and our fix is the most important. So that becomes so the value starts changing when you get into the shelter.
Interesting.
So then you start connecting with
others.
And then you're not alone. You don't need to isolate anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, when you really look at that, getting back to the part of how many people we service, and is it the same people? We have a social worker, full-time social worker.
Okay.
So we have that approach. So you need to be part of programs. I mean, some of us had our driver's license. Some of us need to go for a test 4 times before we really get our license. Same in the shelter.
Okay.
Each person's path and plan is different. That is why my social worker actually sits down after once he's now clean and done what he needed to do medically. She sits down and works out a personal development plan. And that's the plan that they will stick to.
Right.
Those are the goals set
for them.
For 3 months. Chemical change, as we change, our goals also change. Our PDP changes. And that could take another 3 months.
But saying that is a choice for the person.
For the person. The choices they're going to make will be dependent on the infrastructure of empowerment.
Right.
That's their mindset from the day they've come in.
Correct.
Some of us come in with the idea of, I've got a warm bed, I've got a plate of food. It's not about the bed, it's not about the food. It is about you. And also, like in our shelter, we've got the saying, be your brother's keeper. You know, so we in brotherhood and sisterhood, we're part of a family. And like I always say to them, I don't live here. This is your home away from home. This is your stepping ground. So moving to the next level is dependent on you. So if you're compliant, like getting up early, making up your bed, having breakfast, washing the dishes. So if you take those values after shelter when I've exited you back into your family. Because our social worker, what is key is family restoration and reunification.
Right.
And that is big for us. Doesn't mean that you have to go and live with your mommy again or your daddy again.
No,
but we need to restore that relationship.
Yeah.
And it starts within the shelter. The mere fact that we'll be doing NA meetings together, we go there as a family. When we sit down to eat, we sit down together. We pray together. We do things together. So automatically those values within the shelter will then go into a point of when you're at home. You're not going to wait for mommy to get up to make you a cup of coffee. Because that is already part of you.
Yeah.
And I think that is an enhancement in the family sector. When people and family units see these changes.
Interesting.
So you don't really have to go and stay there, but you need the support. And when I get back to like NA meetings, our group sessions, there's always support. So you're using that base and taking it home. And I think what is key that stands out for me is, you know, when we're working with our clients, and we have family sessions, you'll find that a lot of the times my social worker actually refers a family member for counseling. How many of our times do we go to family units where the dad passes on, mommy's alone, the bills need to be paid, mom didn't even have time to basically mourn. And that is how sometimes there's this dysfunctional scenario that happens. And I think that is where, you know, when you look at that approach, you're actually strengthening your community.
True. Wow. Wow. We're going to stop for a break. That could just, I'm just so fascinated listening to the dynamics. And, you know, sometimes, you know, one does not really understand something until you hear, and because you've walked that path as well. It's so alive in you, the way you're sharing it. But we'll be right back.
When I came at Bellville Night Shelter, everything changed for me. You know, it was so good to enter into a place where I was not being judged by my previous actions or the choices that I made in life. It was nice to be in a place where there's people of different walks of life who has made mistakes in the past. But for the first time, we were all together at one place where no one was judging us, and we were given a second chance. Having been on drugs for a very long time, through the program that I've done at Bellville Night Shelter, it has helped me a lot. Today I'm 115 days that I'm clean of substance, and it's so good, you know, to wake up in the morning and not having to think of where my next fix is going to come from, but to wake up in the morning and to look in the mirror and look at myself of how beautiful I am.
Basically, our mission and our vision is that nobody should be living on our streets, and that everybody should be part of a home. and it's getting the homeless back to a home. We basically network with various partners, especially when a homeless person comes into our shelter. You know, first thing we need to give back the humanity by getting him cleaned up. Part and parcel of getting him cleaned up is also networking in the sense of health, rehabilitation of substance, and then obviously changing mindset to basically make them go back into their communities and give back. Our biggest challenges is when somebody's not committed, and trying to change that mindset of getting somebody to commit themselves to our programs. But through our love and care and also encouraging, we actually get to the part that they do commit. Thus, we also like to say that when you enter our shelter, that you are a guest. What they could do is they could actually volunteer. They could do donations, whether it's in kind or in cash. In kind could be anything. What does a house require? Because at the end of the day, when we do reunify guys to their own spaces, once doesn't always realize that we need pots, we need pans, we need curtains, beds. Everything that you have in your house, we would like to give the person as a starter pack to actually start a new life. Also, giving responsibly is very important, especially in the sense of buying our passports. So instead of giving handouts, you give a handout. By buying our passports, 60 Rand a little booklet, and that will enable 5 homeless people to be able to access our services.
I feel proud of myself. I've got my dignity back. I don't need to be ashamed anymore when I walk outside in the street. And that's what I always wanted to be, is to be part of society. To be a normal person there with dignity walking in the streets. To be clean. That's what I always wanted.
So, my brother, there's a lot you packed in that session earlier on. I don't even know how to wrap it up or how to summarize it. But the bottom line is, you know, the work Bellville is doing to restore dignity, you know, and to support your clients, the homeless, you know, who by choice or not by choice, you know, through a holistic approach, like you said, into being a better person, you know, than they are. So you're part of the solution to what some of the challenges are. And I know, you know, there are other challenges, you know, out there in Cape Town, in South Africa, in Africa, from gender-based violence to unemployment, poverty. You know, obviously your area of work is in homelessness, but then it does have part, you know, and parcel of some of this, or some of your clients have been a recipient to some of what we've spoken about, you know, being male or female. So what are some of the solutions that you think, you know, apart from what you're doing, you know, which you're doing very, very well with your team, your social worker, your staff, and, you know, to I'm sure the cook or whoever, you know, feeds, and the person praying, all of them all have, you know, something they're doing. So what are some of the other solutions you think we can have to homelessness, or dealing with some of these issues of drugs, of crime, of poverty, unemployment? Anyone you want to pick?
You know, once again, I like to look at things holistically. You know, because we all fit in like a puzzle. And collaboration with partnered organizations is key, because you when you really look at it, we're not all good at everything. You know, and this is my contribution to the bigger picture. I mean, when I look at us, we have guys like Sir, we have the Mess, we have the Task, we have the City, we have smaller organizations in different communities. You know, when you look at little organizations like Good Deeds Foundation, where we can do outreach, that is technically core within the community. And I think a lot of the times that we're more focused on here, as in homelessness.
Right.
Comparatively, I mean, we do it in Delft, we do it in Elsie's, we did it in Raven's Knee.
Right.
And I think a lot of the times is collaboration.
Right.
Where we all working to make an impact. You know, we have this thing about plays. You know, we normally do plays, like now we've done one via the City.
We saw one of the play, if I remember very well, and I'm like, I was so taken aback with that. And I think that needs, sorry, I'm butting in there, but I'm just excited. I was so excited with when I saw, you know, that play, and using that as a way as well for people to dream or to showcase the talent or to play another part. So I think you need to develop that more, because that is a solution as well.
Yes, because it's once again, it is reaching the core.
Yes.
So technically, you can actually catch a guy before he falls, if you really look at it.
True.
You know, I mean, like, one thing catching you before you fall, like with us now, we've got a belly check group, for instance.
Right.
Ex-client actually opened up a WhatsApp group, and I think there's about 40 or 50 participants on there.
Okay.
And they support each other.
Wow.
And when you really look at that, that is just one call. I mean, some of our ex-clients are staying in Mpumalanga, in Joburg, and yet this platform keeps them going as addicts, because they might not have been at the shelter at the same time. However, they come from the same base.
Yeah, they've been through the journey.
Exactly.
Together.
So what I'm saying is the collaboration.
Yes,
Now, if
yes.
I just take that group
Right.
over the 4-year period that it's been going, and how it has grown, how much support is there? So if I can just take that out of that little group, and we look at that as the haven, as we are said, Good Deeds Foundation, Task, Mess, the haven in its totality. You know, I mean, we've got 15 branches from Napier, from town, right through to Cork Bay, right through to Mossel Bay. So, you know, we need to work as a unit. And once again, I can say is that, in my view, you cannot work as a silo. You cannot work in an island.
Right.
We need to work together. Even the taps in on different communities. You know, when I speak a lot to our partners, that is, George will only come with his little. However, and like I always say to our clients, you know, a lot of us, we all born as children of God.
Yes, yes.
So we will always be children of God. However, as we're growing up, instead of staying childlike, we become childish. Because now we have our own choices, and she's got better than me, and you're always comparing. Comparatively, if we stay childlike all the time, you will then always learn from each other, and not thinking that that one knows better. That one knows better, or I know it all. You know. And you just look at that, you know, and as we're going through our childish stage, we have choices like drugs. And we become more childish. When you go into program, your first process is finding the higher power. And that will take that childishness away so that you can then reconnect and be a child again, even if it's a child of God.
Deep. Now my final question. What kind of future would you like to see with the homeless in Cape Town? Whether it's feasible or not, what kind of future would you like to see?
I would like to see that homelessness will always be. And what my dream is for us as a homeless sector is to at least reduce the numbers. Infrastructures being put in place where there is a more structured path for a homeless person. However, it is difficult when it does not come. Like my commitment is one thing. However, the commitment from the homeless person, which I do not have a power over. So thus, it is programs.
Yeah.
Empowering. Changing mindset. 24 hours at a time.
Yeah.
And don't expect this big bash to say, like, suddenly it's wave a wand and there's my problem solved.
Yeah.
And I think some of us, we tend to sometimes get tired because it's an ongoing struggle. But if you are passion driven, you would keep on in saying one life at a time.
Yeah. Wow. You see, I'm scribbling away and writing because for me, all this is very important, you know, to revisit and capture in other forms, you know, later on. And there's so much, you know, there. I'm hoping, you know, with all our programs that we could have part 2 of it, part 3 of it, so that maybe we could even have a talk with some of the clients themselves, some of your other colleagues, go through, you know, what you guys are doing. So we're hoping, you know, in the near future to come back. So would you have us back?
Definitely,
you know, for that?
You're welcome. And I tell you, I always say, you know, Kenny, is that at the end of it all, you know, when donors come here, and I love taking them through the place. I love them to talk to the client itself, because then I would probably try and sales talk it.
But they can,
real thing,
you
know, so I would definitely like to get you
thank
back.
you. And I want to commend you for all you're doing, you know, you personally, in your role, and, you know, it's a passion and I believe it's a calling, you know, for you, and you're a man of faith, and I believe your faith has stood you, you know, through this time, especially with COVID, you know, where we've all had, you know, one challenge, you know, or the other. So we believe, I know it's fine, the interruption is fine. So because this is a working area, we just want to say kudos, you know, to you and wish you all the very best. And I pray that God, you know, will continue to show you mercy and give you direction. And, you know, it's grace, you know, that is sufficient, because that is what this is, you know, about. You know, at the end of the day, you keep sowing, you know, into the lives of others because you've been through it yourself. And that not because of you've been through it, but being through it gives you that insight, you know, into what has been, and giving them hope. Giving them hope, because some of them might feel, you know, this is not possible, but when they hear your personal story, then they're like, oh really? You know, you were just not picked, you went through, you know, that journey. So well done, and keep impacting lives positively. And yeah, we can only wish you all the best, you know, with everything. So what I want to say now though is, in closing, if there's any word of advice that you want to give to an homeless person or anybody struggling you know, in one form of challenge or the other. And like you said, you know, there's a lot out there. So one needs to look at the holistic, you know, so it's not just about homelessness, which is your sector. So if you want to direct your word of encouragement or anything you want to share, you know, to our viewers.
Really, from my point, my encouragement is that never ever lose hope. You know, when we you know, when you really look out there and days are dark, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And you know, just from my point, my personal vision and statement is really that, you know, is to make a difference in somebody's life, day at a time, even if it's the last day of his life. So he should actually be enjoying his last days of his life. I think that's the impact that I would like to have. But the encouragement to anybody out there is never isolate and actually share your story or seek help, because the help can only come if we really get up and want it. Thank you.
Wow, that's deep. All these intelligent people I can meet in all the time. Wow, I'm being sure, but thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, you know, for that. Right. Well, there you go. You've heard it all. His journey. Mr. George shared his journey. He was a shelter manager at the Haven in Bellville. What a story. He's been through similar, you know, experiencing homelessness, but he's worked his way up, you know, to now become the shelter manager. And that started even with him not feeling well, but him putting his foot forward to say, yeah, I can do this, and choosing, you know, to improve himself as well as he go. So you heard collaboration. Thank you to all the donors who are currently collaborating with the Haven, Mess, VRCs, Delves, Good Deeds, and everybody else, the River, all the people they're working with, and the donors, individual donors. Thank you. I'm sure their needs, you know, still needs that they normally have. We didn't even go into that one because I know it's tight and everybody feels squeezed at the moment, but please, we will be sharing their contact details at the end. If there are ways in any way you can support, your time, your money, your gifts, your food, clothing, you heard him there. I'm sure there's specific needs as well they normally need, but we'll share the contact details at the end for you to go back and, you know, please link up with them if there's any way, or share the story so the people do know, you know, what they're about. Because sometimes we feel sorry for ourselves sometimes in our own little world. Oh, you know, but when you hear of other people's story, then you feel, wow, okay, I am blessed. How can I be a blessing to others? It might be through giving them, you know, vouchers for a night to stay in the shelter, and a lot of other ways. You know, there are various ways you can support. And you heard him, never lose hope. Never lose hope. That is so important. You're not alone. Don't feel isolated. Seek help. Seek help. That is important. That's all we've got time for today, and it's been an honor to be here with my guest today, Mr. George, and looking forward to part 2.
Thank you.
In the new year or wherever.
Yeah.
Till next time, this is Mama K saying, God is love. Take care of yourself. Stay safe. Love you all. Bye-bye.